Welcome to the Farm Stress Management Workshop. Today, you'll be asked to participate in a conference that demonstrates the impact of stress on your life and how you can deal with it successfully. You'll also be asked some questions about yourself and how you're currently dealing with a variety of issues related to stress. At the same time we're giving you information about farm stress, we will ask you for your cooperation in helping Eastern Washington University and the Kellogg Foundation to better understand it. Your help will be used to benefit your neighbors as we gain more knowledge about farm stress and what we can do about it.
I thought he was dead. His arm was crumpled like this.
One of the claws in there grabbed him, and it sunk its claw into his hand, and actually it had to tear out of the flesh.
This guy's wife just left. She could not handle the stress. The phone rang, the phone rang, the phone rang.
Kind of tense up and you quit thinking.
A young man up the road here lost a leg.
He came down along the fence and lost it, upset the tractor on himself.
There's nothing you can do about the weather.
Financial problems really are the number one cause of stress.
I just didn't hardly know which way to turn. I just didn't see how I could make it.
Farm life is rarely as serene as it's portrayed. While farming is one of life's most rewarding occupations, it's also one of the most hazardous. For the most part, farmers think safety and work safely. However, when stress levels increase, farmers are more likely to make poor decisions, which often lead to accidents. Fatigue, crushing financial demands, weather uncertainty, government interference, unpredictable crop prices, and countless other pressures unique to farmers often affect them in especially cruel ways. The result is extremely high levels of stress in the agricultural sector.
Stressors come in all sorts of forms. In the same way, your response to stress can come in all sorts of different forms as well. Most often we see physical signs of stress, such as gastric ulcer, skin rashes, or asthma, headaches, muscle aches and pains, particularly low back pain. But we often also see psychological problems, such as withdrawal or depression.
The high stress level of farm life contributes to making farm work the single most hazardous occupation, according to the National Safety Council. One national estimate indicates that 1,600 people died and 170,000 were injured in farm-related accidents in the United States last year.
Many people think that accidents just occur because there's a problem with the machinery, or there's a problem with the time of day, or a problem with fatigue. And what studies have shown is that stress or anxiety play a significant part in the accidents on any kind of farm.
For the most part, farmers know how to be safe. Occasionally they choose not to be. And we're looking into what happens when those choices are made for unsafe or unhealthy practices or decisions.
The intent of the project is to increase people's awareness about stressors, what stressors are impacting their lives on a daily basis, and also to give them tools to manage their stress.
While everyday stress on the farm is normal, sustained, increasing, and unreleased stress is not only harmful, it's often lethal.
These kinds of stresses will eventually catch up to you. If they don't catch up to you with a heart attack, or with a stroke, or with a stomach problem or an intestinal problem, they'll catch up to you with lowered productivity, or some other kind of problem that is going to result in an injury or illness. For example, if you take one of your typical pieces of equipment, a tractor, if you put that on a small enough tree, I guarantee that that tractor will pull that tree out by the roots. But if you find a tree that's too large, the tractor isn't going to just blow up and disintegrate. What's going to happen is some part's going to break. It may be a piston, It may be an axle, it may be a tire, it may be a wheel, it may be the chain itself. Something's going to break down when you put too much stress on that piece of equipment.
What we want to accomplish with this program is to demonstrate to farmers how many different kinds of stress affect you and how it affects you. We want to improve your awareness of what's going on. At that point, it's up to you to decide what you want to do about it.
You are, in fact, at danger for an accident if you don't really become aware of and take care of the kind of stresses that occur in your life.
The following information is given to you because there's a known correlation between farm stress and serious injuries, farm stress and divorce, farm stress and emotional crises, farm stress and premature death.
There's a clear correlation between stresses of all kinds and different kinds of bad results, whether they be physical results or social results or biochemical results.
You may in fact be dealing well with your stress. Chances are good that these farmers thought they were too. Farmers, almost by definition, are proud, independent, strong-willed.
We do tend to have one thing that many people don't tend to come with anymore, and that's work ethic.
In the course of their daily lives, farmers and ranchers face more risks, more pressures, more hardships than individuals in nearly any other profession. Most endure and thrive, but the risks are great. Stress as the result of financial problems is typical.
You have long-term debt that's due, notes on land, machinery, whatever, and your operating lender gets to the extent of what he can see as possible for your operation to get back with reasonable security, so he doesn't loan you any more money.
He's a dairyman, and he's stressed out with the amount of debt that he can handle. The banker is more or less said he's at his limits. He won't loan him any more money. So he only has the last alternative to go to, and that's the Farm Home Administration. And so he calls up the Farm Home Administration director and says to him, or administrator in his local area, I need some money to buy some hay for my cows. They're bawling, we're out of feed. And the guy says, I'm sorry, I just can't do it. He said, because your risk level is too high now, we can't do it. And he said, well, that solves my problem then. So what he did, he just simply loaded his cattle up and he left at the middle of the night. Nobody knew where he went to. They still don't know.
Financial stress is an example of long-term and usually sustained tension. More common are potentially life-threatening situations that may arise unexpectedly.
It was August 14th of 1992. Hopefully was going to be our last day of harvest, and one of those things you really push for. We'd set a date we wanted to get finished. I had a couple of kids working for me that had to leave to start school on Monday, so it was push, let's get finished.
Dan Blankenship, a farmer from Washtenaw. He probably sounds a lot like you.
We started very early that morning. It was an extremely hot day, and the harvesting machine I was running experienced some electrical problems, and the air conditioner wasn't running. Actually, the air conditioner worked fine, but the alternator had quit, and I sent somebody after a new alternator, and I continued to run the machine while I waited for the parts. It was extremely hot, no ventilation. You're sitting in a glass box. It was probably like 130 or 40 degrees inside the thing. And I ran it for about 4 hours that way. At about the time the parts showed up, the series of events that finally led me to a pretty bad experience just continued to go from bad to worse. About the time the new alternator showed up, I had a radiator hose blow on the combine. So I was out in the engine compartment working on that. So not only do you have the sun, it's 110 degrees out. I'm working next to a hot engine besides after riding around in this combine for 4 hours. Got the radiator hose fixed and put the new alternator on the whole time operating down there in the engine compartment where it's probably 180 degrees. And then I didn't have enough water to refill the radiator. So I drove 2 miles back to the shop in a non-air conditioned pickup, got 2.5 gallon jugs of water, and started back out to the combine to refill the radiator. I got within about a half a mile of the combine and got stuck in the pickup. The pickup wouldn't climb the hill to get back up where the machine was parked. I'm out there totally exposed. It's 110 degrees, and I'm lugging 5 gallons of water up a very steep hill a half a mile, and I got halfway up the hill and knew I had a problem. I had to stop and rest and didn't feel quite right. Just thought it's because I was fat and out of shape, you know. That tends to happen to you. But rested a little bit, lugged the water again, another quarter mile or so, and got everything in the combine and got the combine running right again. Sat in the cab for probably 10 minutes just with the air conditioner on, trying to get cooled off. I knew I'd been out in the heat too long. I knew I'd sweated too much. I drank probably 2 quarts of water just sitting there because I knew I was dehydrated, but otherwise felt okay. And then I took off running again, and after about 5 minutes, just basically came apart. My respiration rate got really funny and took off really fast, and my heart rate probably went to about 180. Every muscle in my body just started to contract, and it started right here in my chest area, and I thought I was experiencing a heart attack, which then caused the fear and anxiety rush of adrenaline, which just made all those other things worse and compounded the problem. They got me to the hospital, luckily, quickly enough, and so it was an interesting day. And it's been 13 months now, and it's still a complication. I'm still taking medication to deal with some of the consequences.
For Dan Blankenship, the consequences of his brush with death have been positive.
As a result of my incident, we've kind of made new rules around here.
Later, we'll find out what strategies Dan and his crew now use as a direct result of his experience. Many coping strategies are effective for measurably reducing stress.
They all are tools that people can use to help manage the stress that they experience. People use different ways to cope with stress.
None will be effective unless it's used.
The ultimate success of these techniques for the viewer is going to be how they will be able to incorporate them into their daily life. We can present the techniques. We can talk about stress. We can talk about various kinds of stress and how they'll affect each individual or general populations. But ultimately, it's going to come down to the viewer taking them home and using them, incorporating them into his or her life so that their life can be as productive and happy as possible.
Remember, stress is inevitable, but you choose how to manage it. In our next segment, we'll explore networking, thought-stopping, and problem-solving, just 3 of many coping strategies that you can employ to reduce stress. But first, we have some questions that will help identify the kind of networking you may already be doing. Your trainer will give you instructions on how to complete the activity questionnaire. Strategies we'll explore in this segment is called networking.
Well, networking is the process where people get together and find out whether they have similar problems, and it could be something as easy as just farmers getting together in the morning for a cup of coffee at the local coffee shop, or maybe friends coming over to visit. Can be something even more complex where there's a specific problem in the community and a group of people get together to solve that. When people get together and discuss problems, they have less stress. If you can share a problem with someone else, you might experience less stress. Sometimes just keeping a problem to yourself can make it a larger problem.
To form a network, identify your resources, including personal, family, friends, and community resources. Then, match your problem with the appropriate resource person or agency and seek a response. Networking is a simple and effective release valve that farmers all too often neglect, but it works.
I'll just go back to that one thing. The absolute truth and honesty with your neighbors makes you a strong man, and you're going to survive and you're going to come out of it. You're going to have a lot of bumps. You're going to have to learn a lot of things and learn them a lot of ways. But talk to your farmer friends and listen.
Well, problem solving is a process that's a structured pattern of interaction. It's like a plan. It has specific tasks that you must perform. And what's interesting is all of us do problem solving on a daily basis, but oftentimes when we're under stress, we may take a shortcut or we may leave a step out, and that's what puts us at risk really of having an accident or not being able to use problem solving effectively.
Remember Dan Blankenship? Since his incident, he's consciously selected problem solving as a method to resolve future crises.
I think if I could give one piece of advice is take 2 or 3 minutes every morning and plan your day and lay out the contingencies. And I think my major piece of advice is when something goes wrong, stop and deal with it.
Blankenship accepts accountability for the risks he took, but he's learned as a result.
Unfortunately, in Dan's case, his whole family had to go through a lot of trauma to come up with a policy. But these are the things that happen sometimes.
I've realized that you can't beat everything by just putting out more effort. You can't just put in more hours. You have to work smarter instead of harder. Or you may not have the time or the health to enjoy what you're working for.
Consciously recognize and define your problem. Identify alternative solutions. Choose an alternative. Implement the solution.
Thought stopping is something that you need to do when you find yourself obsessing and thinking the same thoughts over and over and over. What you do when you're learning the process is that you just imagine a big red stop sign. It sounds very easy, and then you tell yourself to stop. At that point in time, you stop that process. You stop ruminating about the thoughts that you were having before. Then you try to replace that thought with something very pleasant. And you keep doing those steps over and over until you're no longer worrying about the original problem.
Recognize your worry. Imagine a stop sign. Replace your thought with something pleasant or relaxing.
The old saying is you can't eat the elephant, or if you do eat the elephant, you have to eat it a bite at a time. Take things in small pieces. Don't think of having to get a huge project done within in a limited period of time.
You've got to step back just a little bit and say, now look, is it worth running myself into the ground to get another 5 tons of hay up that day? Is it worth causing an accident? Is it worth losing a limb or a life?
None of these techniques will do you any good unless you try them.
You have to know where to draw that line and do it. Don't wait till after the fact.
We think that the reasons that the farmers choose not to be safe may have a lot to do with the amount of stress they're under at the time. And by making people more aware of what stress means to them, what things stress them, what we call stressors, by improving your awareness that you can become a better manager of that stress. And then hopefully will make you healthier and safer.
For your family, for yourself, don't be one who says, "It can't happen to me." Because for over 170,000 unprepared farmers every year, it does. Today, you have increased your awareness of how stressors affect you personally and how your response to them can affect your health and safety. You've also been exposed to 3 coping strategies to help you reduce stress and increase your decision-making effectiveness. If you want to learn more about stress management, there's a list of stress-reducing strategies in the workbook appendix. You'll also find a list of community resources located in your county that will assist you further. Remember, some physical problems may have purely physiological causes. You should have a doctor determine if any physical problem is stress-related. Now, you will need to make a commitment to yourself to use one of the coping strategies with a specific stressor you've identified from the Farm Stress Inventory. Please fill out the coping strategies contract. Your trainer will give you instructions. If you'd like additional information, please contact the Center for Farm Health and Safety at 509-359-7995. We hope you find the information in this workshop useful and easy to use in your life. Thank you for attending the Farm Stress Management Workshop.